Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are engaged.
I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy, and I think that she's a terrific person.
These aren't your dad's celebrities, and these aren't your dad's Republicans.
Many months later.
Are you tired of people assuming that you have decent politics? Are you annoyed that people get mad when you publicly laugh it up with overt fascists? Do you miss when the President of the United States tweeted about how attractive he thinks you are? Well, do we have a solution for you? Stop running from the potential of a bad reputation and embrace the life of a showgirl in the Weimar Republic by allowing your music to be used in fan cams for the fascist regime. With the great combination of your music and fascism, you can say goodbye to being associated with weirdly insincere looking queer allyship, and hello to having your name next to mass deportations and child kidnapping.
This is something that I know is right, and I need to be on the right side of history.
Afraid of looking like this might have happened without your consent? Just be sure to never speak out against your music's new life as the best soundtrack to fascist terror since Wagner, and never ask for it to be taken down. Because if you do, people might mistake you for someone with empathy and integrity. Like, I don't know, Sabrina Carpenter, ABBA, Bruce Springsteen, Olivia Rodrigo, Rihanna, Phil Collins, Pharrell Williams, Neil Young, Panic at the Disco, R.E.M., Guns N' Roses somehow, Celine Dion, Beyonce, and Adele. You don't want anyone to think that Taylor Swift, of all people, hasn't changed her mind on MAGA, do you? Think of all the Republicans you can sell records to.
Imagine if we came to you and said, hey, we've got this idea that we could halve the number of people that come to you next tour.
Think about your friendship with Brittany, Big MAGA Mahomes. Think about your husband and his redwood tree. It ain't hard to see. Don't think about the fact that the longer you let this play out, the longer people take your silence as an endorsement of your former enemy. After all, if everyone else spoke out and got their music taken down, why is yours still there?
I wasn't gonna pop my head out of the sand for anything.
Would you?
Does anyone remember the time Taylor Swift came out as a Democrat? As a former country music star, back in the halcyon days of the first Trump administration, back when we thought that was as bad as things could get, sweet summer children that we were, many people, including Donald Trump himself, alluded to the idea that Taylor Swift, not quite yet the white woman's Beyonce Knowles, was alt-right.
I was there along with Taylor Swift. How did that work out?
Swift did not weigh in on the 2016 election, not endorsing anyone, and given the amount of celebrities that were speaking out about the dangers of a Donald Trump presidency, and as time went on, the dangers of the things the guy was actually doing, the more she stayed quiet, the more mounting pressure there was for Taylor to say something. Would she be the object of MAGA's love story? Or would she shake the alt-right off? That question was answered on Instagram in 2018, where Taylor backed Tennessee Democrats in the midterm election, and for once actually took a progressive position on social issues. Some social issues. Some celebrated. Some, perhaps knowing about her private jet and foreseeing the future where she's a billionaire, were more skeptical. But it was something, right? Taylor Swift is massive. She has a reach of millions, even back then. And she can change minds and influence people, far more than most of us can. Part of the calculation when you're that famous, however, is whether you want to risk losing parts of your own audience. Parts that might be cool with the ruthless violence inflicted on the rest of your audience. For most of us, I think that we'd be fine cutting off people who are down with casual cruelty. But Taylor Swift wasn't until 2018. And today, it looks like she might have changed her mind once again.
I wasn't gonna pop my head out of the sand for anything.
Would you?
But back then, it looked like Taylor Swift's change of heart was probably genuine. She accused Trump of trying to turn the USA into an autocracy, said he was gaslighting the public, condemned his attacks on Roe v. Wade, and admitted she regretted not speaking out in 2016. After Trump threatened violence against the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020, she said on Twitter, "We will vote you out in November," but notably didn't take to the streets. Nevertheless, she condemned his attacks on the Postal Service, and she endorsed Biden and Harris against Trump. Note that these are just words, but she did also put money behind this too. Notably, she gave $113,000 to the Tennessee Equality Project, which is a lot of money. Not for her, it's nothing to her, but for most of us it would be, and for the organisation it genuinely would have made a massive difference. Swift did also write and direct the music video for You Need to Calm Down, her attempt to come up with an anti-homophobe and pro-queer rights anthem a la Lady Gaga's Born This Way. And while anyone being openly anti-homophobia is always good and always welcome, it sort of came 10 years too late, and didn't really condemn homophobia as much as comparing it to people being mean to Taylor online. Michelle Kim at Pitchfork called it bewildering and underwhelming at the same time, and Will Gottsagen of Spin wrote that the lyrics were engineered to appeal to the broadest possible demographic. And I mean this not to be a hater, but that was the only way Taylor Swift was ever going to speak out on political issues. Broadest possible demographic, mostly inoffensive, but it was something. In 2024, Trump once again tried to court Taylor Swift and her influence, claiming, "There's no way she can endorse crooked Joe Biden, the worst and most corrupt president in the history of our country, and be disloyal to the man who made her so much money. I think she's beautiful, very beautiful. I find it very beautiful," he told book author Ramin Situda. "I think she's liberal. She probably doesn't like Trump. I hear she's very talented. I think she's very beautiful, actually. Unusually beautiful. She is liberal? Or is that just an act?" In the run-up to the 2024 presidential election, Taylor Swift stayed weirdly silent until after the presidential debate, when she endorsed Kamala Harris. This was really late in, but to be fair to her, so was Biden dropping out. The weird thing is, the month before, she hadn't had a lot to say about certain AI-generated Swifties for Trump images that were being shared around, including images of Swift herself in MAGA attire, and encouraging her fans to vote for Trump. Trump himself shared these images to his massive audience, with the words, "I accept." Taylor Swift only brought up these images after the debate in her endorsement. With all the money and power she has, she could have sued him. She could have kicked up a fuss. Instead, she dismissed his actions in a sentence as part of a larger announcement, reduced to a social media post. This would not be the last time Taylor Swift refused to take concrete action against Donald Trump's attempts to use her as part of his propaganda machine. With that in mind, it is pretty notable that until the post-debate endorsement, many people were asking why she had stopped talking about politics after her seemingly liberal turn, and after she had been quite vocal. Why was she silent? The endorsement stopped that buzz for a while, but Swift's silence come Trump's second term would soon become deafening. In the Netflix documentary Miss Americana, Taylor Swift, reflecting on how she presents herself to the public, says this.
Throughout my whole career, label executives would just say, "A nice girl doesn't force their opinions on people. A nice girl smiles and waves and says thank you." I became the person everyone wanted me to be.
In the same documentary, we see Taylor Swift discussing the aforementioned Instagram post with her father, clearly having come to a decision about whether to speak up, but torn up over what it would mean moving forward. "For 12 years, we've not got involved in politics or religion," an unnamed associate tells Swift. Her father adds, "I've read the entire statement and..."
Right now, I'm terrified. I'm the guy that went out and bought armored cars.
But this time, Swift pushes back. I can't see another commercial with Blackburn disguising these policies behind the words Tennessee Christian values. I live in Tennessee. I am Christian. That's not what we stand for. Referencing her regret at not coming out 2 years earlier, she says, I can't change that. I need to be on the right side of history. Dad, I need you to forgive me for doing it. Because I'm doing it. In Stylist, the author of the article, Taylor Swift wasn't allowed to discuss politics for 12 years, here's why, Jessica Rapana follows this up with a line that seems like it might be aging poorly. And just like that, Miss Americana was on the right side of history.
Oh, 'cause she's dead.
Oh, look what you made me do! You made me make a video about Taylor Swift being dead silent on Donald Trump using her music to promote his horrifying regime, becoming the soundtracks to mass deportation, concentration camps, whether alligator flavour or El Salvadorian flavour, children ripped from their parents, people kidnapped on the street, and that's without even mentioning the foreign policy. I, Brigitte Empire, will be sure that no one at the Daily Telegraph, where I work as science and culture correspondent, will be able to escape the truth. That clearly, Sabrina Carpenter is the superior white blonde lady singer. She's unapologetically pro-trans, she's funny and corny and horny, and most importantly, she called Trump's video of ICE deportation set to her music evil and disgusting. While Taylor Swift, in response to the multiple videos released from the White House set to her music, has said absolutely nothing. Which is really weird, considering how loudly liberal Taylor was for a few years there. When you're that vocal, and then you can't even out-woke Axl fucking Rose of all people, people are going to start to notice. People like, for example, Alim Karaj for The Guardian, who last month wrote, in the last 2 weeks, the Trump administration has used music from Taylor Swift's latest album, The Life of a Showgirl, in 3 posts on social media. One set to father figure, riffs on the lyric, "This empire belongs to me," with the caption, "This empire belongs to @President Donald J. Trump." The Trump administration has found itself in dicey waters for using popular music in the past. The White Stripes and the estate of Isaac Hayes have both attempted to sue the administration for using their music without permission, while artists including Celine Dion, Beyoncé, Rihanna, ABBA, and Foo Fighters have released statements demanding Trump stop using their songs at campaign rallies and public appearances. Most recently, Olivia Rodrigo condemned the administration after the official Department of Homeland Security and White House Instagram account used her song All American Bitch on a video promoting its controversial deportation efforts. So this is quite odd, right? As we discussed at the start of this video, Taylor Swift was, only a few short years ago, very publicly loud about her disagreements with the Trump administration, to the point of basically releasing a movie to soft-launch her political side, to the chagrin of her father and her team if the documentary's version of events is accurate. And it's not exactly like Taylor Swift is a stranger to throwing around lawsuits. In fact, she's been, if anything, aggressively litigious when it comes to shutting down people who can't fight back or who have less notoriety than herself. Something weirdly she has in common with the Pokemon Company, who are infamous for slamming anything from fan art to a kid's birthday party if a company lawyer even gets a whiff of a Pikachu within a quarter mile. And who were also used in an arguably much more evil Trump regime video than Taylor Swift was, using the Pokemon theme to promote their mass deportation program. Gotta catch 'em all, but make it Hitlerite. Probably not coincidentally, this is actually an Asmongold bit from a while back, that was evil when it was a hypothetical. Now it's a reality, and it's even more sickening.
Doing this thing with like these deportations where they bring in like celebrities to deport people, and it made me wonder, what is the probability that Tom Homan would let me go with him dressed up as Ash Ketchum with watching them do deportations? Like, I feel like it's probably at least 5% chance, right? Like, I think I think we're at a 5 to 10% chance that this could happen. Yeah, exactly. That'd be really good content.
The Pokemon Company, despite people who endorse Trump like Theo Von successfully forcing Trump to take down videos using him to promote their crimes against humanity, said absolutely nothing. Maybe they assumed Donald Trump would put tariffs on their games or enact hostile foreign policy against Japan. But I doubt it. Trump is already old, and his brain is already melting out of his ears. I doubt he knows what a Pokemon is. He wasn't around for all that, and even if he was, he wouldn't remember.
Nothing bad can happen, it can only good happen.
You know, when I was playing Pokemon Red in the back of my parents' car, he was hanging out with disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. Allegedly.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
It was a cowardly move on behalf of the Pokemon Company. And getting back to Taylor Swift, likewise. Except Taylor Swift has the benefit of being a billionaire and American, so she has even more leverage against Trump than Pokemon or even Theo Von, who I should remind people was a Trump guy. This should have been a layup for Taylor Swift. If Theo Von can do it, you certainly can. But unlike a redwood tree, her lawsuit against Trump was hard to see. Because as far as we know, it doesn't exist. This silence is surprising from an artist known to be litigious over unsanctioned use of her music or likeness. She has previously sued a theme park for playing her music without a license, come for Etsy sellers for using lyrics from her songs in unofficial merch, taken on YouTube creators over copyright infringement, and demanded retroactive songwriting credits from newer artists, including Olivia Rodrigo. That Swift and her team haven't issued a statement distancing her from a president mired in scandal and an administration criticised for censorship, violent immigration raids, and far-right policies is curious. Once politically shy, she appeared to fully embrace and advocate for progressive values in 2018. So much so that her decision to speak out about politics became the narrative tentpole of her documentary Miss Americana. She has subsequently endorsed Democratic political candidates, supported Kamala Harris in the 2024 American presidential election, and criticized the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. "I need to be on the right side of history," she said in Miss Americana, apparently defying the advice of team members including her own father. It is now unclear whether that statement still stands. If it does, Swift seems less interested in telling us so. She hasn't denounced ICE raids or commented on the Israel-Gaza conflict. Perhaps we should ask ourselves at this point whether her silence is an act of political cowardice, or whether we misinterpreted how genuine she was about her prior politics.
I feel really good about not feeling muzzled anymore.
Remember that she only spoke up about some social issues. She never really spoke up about class issues. Not surprising, most liberals don't. But like many rich American liberals, and indeed many liberals in general, this speaks to a politics that's extremely surface level. You want to have gay friends and have them not be attacked by the government for being gay. That's great. Do you want them to have healthcare coverage? Are you really a queer ally if you aren't out there campaigning for PrEP and hormone replacement therapy to be available to everyone and without breaking the bank? Are you really a queer ally if you look at the puberty blocker bans and full transition bans in some US states and keep quiet instead of speaking out? A lot of your fans are poor. Don't you think they should be able to make ends meet? Have a higher minimum wage? Have real social safety nets? Can you truly be an ally to anyone and have a private jet you fly everywhere, thereby being one of the biggest polluters on the entire planet, and massively disproportionately contributing to the increasingly catastrophic-looking climate crisis?
Taylor Swift has officially set the world record for shortest flight in a private jet. Alright, so this flight is less than 1 mile long, and I never thought that I was gonna make another one of these videos, especially 1 month later after she took a 2-mile private jet flight. The singer took off from Hawthorne Airport, which is located in Los Angeles, and this flight is so short that if Taylor Swift decided to drive it, it would have been a 12-minute drive. Legit walkable.
Can you truly be an ally while being a billionaire? If you could solve a big chunk of world hunger with the money you personally have in your possession, and you choose not to, how can you sleep at night? A billionaire with a private jet does not become an unselfish person, a person with solidarity and social justice as their core principles, just because they don't actively hate gay people.
Taylor has become a billionaire not just because people like her songs, but because of a lot of smart business decisions that she's made over the years. That includes a condo and an estate in Nashville, an estate in Los Angeles, a large apartment in Tribeca in New York City, as well as a summer house in Rhode Island.
If she truly were the person people thought she was, would she not be horrified at ICE kidnappings, at what has been done to the people of Palestine, of the current flagrant violations of international law Trump is perpetrating in the Caribbean, the crackdowns on trans people, on immigrants, the blatant corruption and stuffing of the media with yes men to entrench fascist rule in perpetuity? Many of her colleagues have been horrified and have spoken up. At this point, Taylor's silence is a choice in and of itself, and it reveals something about who she is and her priorities.
I come to this magnificent house of worship tonight because my conscience leaves me no other choice. I join you in this meeting because I'm in deepest agreement with the aims and work of the organization which has brought us together, clergy and laymen concerned about Vietnam.
The phrase silence is violence is thrown out fairly often on social media, and with good reason. If you have the megaphone to get word out about something, and especially with the money and the power to back it up, choosing not to speak out about those issues is a choice to leave people to die, allow mass kidnappings, and so on. This isn't talking about you, this is talking about people who can say a word and millions of people will hear and listen and take action. And this isn't just a Twitter leftist line that gets thrown at certain video essayists who refuse to mention the event, despite having 5 hours worth of things to say about every other topic under the sun, however. This line, in fact, paraphrases the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in his speech, Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence, delivered at the Riverside Church in New York City on April the 4th, 1967, which itself attributes the phrase, silence is betrayal, to the church group to whom he is speaking. Staying quiet about Vietnam as a prolific figure in American politics was, at the time, as is staying silent on, say, Palestine or ICE now, an active, and by the nature of the results of such silence, an inherently violent choice.
The recent statements of your executive committee are the sentiments of my own heart, and I found myself in full accord when I read its opening lines. A time comes when silence is betrayal. That time has come for us in relation to Vietnam. Some of us who have already begun to break the silence of the night have found that the calling to speak is often a vocation of agony. But we must speak. We must speak with all the humility that is appropriate to our limited vision. But we must speak. They ask if our own nation wasn't using massive doses of violence to solve its problem, to bring about the changes it wanted. Their questions hit home, and I knew that I could never again raise my voice against the violence of the oppressed in the ghettos without having first spoken clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, my own government. For the sake of those boys, for the sake of this government, for the sake of the hundreds of thousands trembling under our violence, I cannot be silent. For those who ask questions,
And that should be the attitude of anyone who truly cares, who truly wants liberation and equality. Silence should be unbearable. And indeed, in the age of social media, it's easier than ever before in the history of the human race to not be silent. Anyone at any time can leave a comment. Any musician can comment underneath the use of their image and denounce it within seconds. It is easier than ever to not even take a stand, but to do the bare minimum and say, I don't support this, take this down. Silence, in the face of these horrors, when you are being used for propaganda for these horrors, is betrayal.
And it was my own doing.
Clearly, Taylor Swift is willing to throw her money around, but only at poor people and artists that are much less famous than her, and sometimes to buy a Kennedy house, not at powerful figures like Donald Trump. Yet so many musicians have spoken out and demanded their music not be used to promote fascism. She's practically the only person out of all of the artists Trump has used to promote his regime that wasn't already MAGA that hasn't demanded the same. That has their music still up on TikTok promoting a regime that she's supposedly at odds with. That is doing unspeakable things, both to its own population and overseas. Whether you're a fan of Swift or not, this is an act of moral cowardice. And I'm obviously not the only person who thinks so. You need only spend 5 minutes online to find 1,000 other people saying the same thing. Anthony Fantano's piece, Taylor Swift is a Coward, also comes to mind, where he also makes the point that Taylor Swift is known to be pretty litigious when it comes to copyright.
Taylor's insistence on enforcing her copyright has been used against people as powerless as Etsy creators, as well as quietly behind the scenes making sure that her and Jack Antonoff, even St. Vincent, got credit on Olivia Rodrigo's song Deja Vu over, I guess, allegedly some similarities that it had with Cruel Summer. So again, Taylor is someone who historically is very sensitive to and aware of when she is being ripped off and when someone else is using her music and her ideas to their own personal benefit. And yet, as the Trump administration does it, she is standing there silent, not doing anything.
And other musicians have replied swiftly and shown how it's done. Olivia Rodrigo responded to the Department of Homeland Security using All American Bitch in a video with, "Don't ever use my songs to promote your racist, hateful propaganda." And of course, you have Sabrina Carpenter, who ratioed the White House account so hard they deleted their video. I think that one might have actually broken the top 3 biggest ratios of all time. I hear Greta Thunberg still has the #1 spot, but it's still pretty respectable. Anyway, in response to the White House setting to Carpenter's song Juno, a video of themselves kidnapping and handcuffing innocent people in the street for the crime of being brown, Carpenter replied, to 1.8 million likes at the time of writing, "This video is evil and disgusting. Do not ever involve me or my music to benefit your inhumane agenda." And it's just that simple. That's how you fucking do it. It's not hard. Which makes the lack of any of this, on Taylor's part, suspicious. So go on, Taylor. Do it. What's stopping you? Well, instead of doing that, now knowing and the whole world seeing that you don't even need a lawsuit, just a simple cheeky tweet to prevent your music being used for fascist propaganda, Taylor Swift has responded by, well, doing nothing? I mean, she released a new album. Nothing mentioned on there about any of that. There wasn't a "you need to calm down" for 2025. No mention of Trump at all. And as far as I can tell, it just came out at the time of recording this. The documentary she just released is the same. It says nothing about any of this, and it's about other things. To be honest, the album itself is mostly about how big her husband's redwood tree is, and it's also kind of racist.
But I'm not a bad bitch, and this isn't savage.
Like, eldest daughter is, at least partially, a dig at Megan Thee Stallion, who, as far as I can tell, has done absolutely nothing to her, and whose only crime was that Taylor's husband tried to get with her and she wasn't interested. The way that she uses AAVE to set herself apart from it and use it for laughs, it feels a little bit racist. And that cancelled song? It does feel a bit like that album was a little Republican coded. Now, I'm not a music critic anymore. I haven't written an album review since I was doing my master's degree, so I guess I'm a former music critic, but this isn't a formal review. If it was, I'd say weirdly catchy music, but the lyrics are absolutely horrible, and I don't want to think about Travis Kelce's genitalia this much. 2 out of 5, you can do better. But I'm not the only person who thought this, and this album, being her entire output this year, along with her silence on the Trump stuff, made a lot of people suspicious that she might have switched political aisles. Just a couple days ago, at the time of writing, an article came out trying to shoo people away from that very narrative. And I don't think it's unreasonable to think that Swift's team might be trying to do a little damage control with this. But it's a Rolling Stone article. Maybe it's just a Rolling Stone article, despite the main body of the article being directly pulled from an AI PR startup company, so inherently a public relations puff piece. But whether Swift's team have had any say about this or not, and it'd be weird if they didn't, given this is a PR company, the article, Taylor Swift's last album, sparked bizarre accusations of Nazism. It was a coordinated attack. Well, it feels kind of desperate and dishonest. And that's before I've even mentioned the fact that the claims made in this article are unsubstantiated, unscientific, and rely on you believing the findings of this AI PR startup, claiming that because some people on social media have massive reach, that means no Taylor Swift criticism can be valid. As if influencers don't exist.
Do you guys want to see the company that Taylor Swift had produced that PR article for Rolling Stone magazine about all the bots that criticize her? Turns out the whole thing is an AI company whose whole job is to detect threats to your brand and craft narratives that can be spread to help protect your brand.
And part of this data relies on one of these things that I truly believe was an unintentional gaffe by Taylor Swift's team, but will spark discourse, where they were selling a necklace on her website that looks like the SS logo. You really can't blame people for making Nazi accusations if you make jewelry with Nazi symbols on it, even if you didn't realize what it would look like when you made it. And to be clear, in my opinion, I don't think they meant to do this. But if someone didn't spot that before it was made public, either you do not have a thorough enough process in vetting these things and you need more diverse voices in the room, or someone did see it and chose to say nothing, which also would not be a great look. But for the record, I do think this was a mistake. But, as you can probably imagine, Swifties on Twitter took this extremely poor excuse to dismiss all criticism of Taylor Swift extremely well.
Lefties love to talk about spiritually Israeli and Western propaganda, but couldn't even spot a neo-Nazi propaganda movement against a major pop star who's been a Democrat her whole life.
I'm so glad I'm not a dumbass, and have never formed an opinion based on what the internet is saying. Take karma is real, and whoever is behind this will fall!
Everything is spiritually Israeli, but the second their intelligence playbooks get put to work, you're all blind.
Swifties beam peep this, but you all decided to call us crazy and delusional.
I need this lawsuit to come from her tonight! Lawsuit so she can get extra money to make TLOASG vinyls! We need this!
I'm confused. Why don't I see any of the so-called Twitter activists apologizing and acknowledging that they were wrong? It's almost as if it was never about bringing justice, and it was just to find a way to humble the biggest artists in the world.
Looking in the quotes and seeing liberals so committed to their irrational hatred of a pop star that they are purposefully disregarding facts and doubling down on pushing a bot-facilitated orchestrated smear campaign is disgusting, but not surprising.
A coordinated attack that people are too happy to contribute to in the name of Stan Wars and performative activism and overall hatedness. Think of what we've become. The people are happy to spread misinformation by bots and how easily fabricated narratives spread on social media.
American liberals that call yourself woke, how do you feel right now that everyone knows you're fucking stupid and fell for a far-right propaganda? Triple microphone emoji, please tell us!
It's been a targeted attack from day one. The amount of unhinged takes in this album is crazy.
Instead of feeling bad and apologizing, I'm seeing people doubling down on the quotes like, wow, you're all really nasty pieces of work. I can't admit you were just simply being dumb and wrong. This! Thank you! One idiot kept insisting Taylor had microaggressive lyrics. Like, Stahoo! You stupid idiots! I'm black, and I didn't hear a single racist slur comment or lyric in any of the songs. Stop doubling down just because you don't want to own that you're wrong. Anyone want to apologize? Fucking cowards. Some of you were in front lines with pitchforks spreading misinformation and calling it every name but a child of God. But now everyone is on mute. Rolling eyes emoji. Fuck you all! Despite the massive overreaction, and the fact that the article they're all acting like is some kind of vindication actually just tells you someone linked to Taylor Swift paid an AI PR firm, I kind of get the defensiveness from Swift's fans here. Taylor Swift has repeatedly been the subject of pro-MAGA AI mock-ups,
from the fake endorsement that Trump directly replied to the image of Taylor Swift in a MAGA hat that you might recognize from the thumbnail of this very video. She has certainly been the victim of smear campaigns trying to paint her as a fascist before. The difference is, before, she came out and clarified her stance. This time she is doing the opposite. Everyone but her is calling this out. Even if this were a completely invented smear, purely the work of a few anonymous trolls using sock puppets and bot farms to take down a famous liberal, she could, like everyone else in the industry, call it out and go on the offensive. But she is not. It takes one tweet to get rid of all of this suspicion. And she is not doing it. She is the one glaring example of someone choosing silence in the face of the president using her likeness for fascist propaganda videos. And as Dr. King said, there comes a time when silence is betrayal. This is that time.
I need to do this. I need you to I need you to forgive me for doing it, because I'm doing it.
And then we have to question whether this analysis is even reliable in the first place. You see, the whole premise of this article is that all accusations against Swift, in the wake of her silence, as Trump uses her music for his regime's propaganda, as a result of the potentially racially charged lyrics on her album, because of her releasing an SS necklace on her official website, but mostly because of her general silence in the face of a fascist takeover of her country, despite her previous outspokenness, was a coordinated attack by a small group of bad actors using many sock puppets or bots. But this analysis was done by an AI startup called Gudea. So, 1. AI is famously unreliable. 2. AI is famously unethical. I would be highly critical of using the electricity and water of 3 small towns to run a possibly hallucinatory analysis of social media comments, if it weren't for the fact that we're already talking about someone who frequently uses a private jet and uses it to travel short distances at that. So the carbon footprint of every part of this discourse is so big, it might as well be dousing the Amazon in gasoline as we speak. So, not only is this article an attempt to blame the outrage against everything we've talked about today on like 5 guys on Twitter who eventually spread the word to Kiwi Farms and 4chan, although I don't doubt they may have played some role, these sites usually do when it comes to tearing anyone down, but this article is also just promo for one of the thousands of AI startups that make zero profit and exist in a cloud of venture capital money that will leave them eventually crashing down to earth once the AI bubble pops and everyone realizes their business model is completely useless, at which point all of our 401ks and all those associated shit come down with it, because our governments have invested everything in this ridiculous fucking bubble. In fact, if you actually look at the source for these claims that Gudea has put out, Gudea didn't prove that the claims were illegitimate, or even try to argue against them at all. It used some garbage AI protocol to collate social media narratives, even though you don't need AI to do that at all, and found that some accounts had more of an effect on the narrative than others. Yeah, no shit. Some people have more followers, that's how the internet works. This report tells us precisely nothing that any of us didn't already know. They claim that less than 10% of users account for nearly 35% of posts. Okay? Yes, different accounts have different followings, and some people post more than others. If some people post 1,000 times and other people post once, that doesn't necessarily mean that this behavior is inauthentic. Sure, it could be bot behavior, but it could also just be certain people who are angry about what Taylor Swift has, or indeed hasn't, said and done. People who are angry tend to post more. It doesn't mean they're bots. And in fact, this AI PR firm, because this is what it is, and what it markets itself as, not something objective, says right on its website that it's there to control the narrative. So, not an objective source by any means. And even then, it does not specify in its accounting whether these accounts posting more than others were human or bots or sock puppets, because it simply doesn't know. And yet, that's how people are taking this. Largely thanks to the frankly piss-poor journalism in this Rolling Stone article, and the gullibility of the Swifties believing based entirely on faith that this vindicates their idol, because they simply cannot come to terms with the fact that people might have some legitimate criticisms of someone they look up to. And that's not to say that bots aren't a problem. and that there aren't legitimate issues with manufactured outrage cycles, because they are and there are, but that doesn't take away from the real problem here. And this brings me to the last paragraph of this article. Because no matter how much I can dismiss this article as a whole for just being a press release for a soon-to-be-dead AI startup that doubles as damage control for artists who refuse to speak out against their government snatching people off the streets and throwing them into camps, the idea that anyone's anger at someone with as much influence as Swift has, being silent on the evils so apparent to all of us with her music as a soundtrack, is illegitimate, frankly makes my blood boil. There's no doubt that Swift elicits a strong response one way or another from much of the listening public. Yet there's no reason to assume that anyone dismissing her stated politics to weave a paranoid fantasy about her secret reactionary positions is sincere. When it comes to social media in this day and age, you can safely assume that your outrage is the point. But it's not the point, is it? The point is, people are being kidnapped on the street, pulled out of their homes, kidnapped at their hearings and dragged off to camps, where God knows what is done to them. We know at CCOT that trans prisoners just disappear. When details are revealed about what happens there, it's going to be written in the history books. Not for good reason. What happened to those people that vanished to Alligator Alcatraz? What about the Venezuelan fishermen? They did absolutely nothing. What about the people of Palestine? All of this awful stuff, and you, after years of being outspoken, are not only silent, but you don't even object to your music being used for propaganda for these horrors, to promote this violence. If you don't speak out against that, you are allowing your work to be used for propaganda. You are a tool of propaganda for this regime. Even if you did not actively choose it, you chose not to object. And if the idea sits uncomfortably with you, good. It should. It's not that hard to do what Olivia Rodrigo or Sabrina Carpenter did. It's not hard at all. I can write a fucking tweet. If Axl Rose, of all people, the guy who sang 1 in a Million, the most chud rock song of all time, can speak up against this shit, Taylor Swift absolutely can. She's a billionaire. She's one of the biggest stars on the entire planet. She has reach, money, and power that is unfathomable. More ability to fight back than most people at any time in human history. At that point, staying quiet is approval. And if you're okay with your music being used for fascist propaganda, don't be surprised when people suspect that you might be yourself a fascist. There is one very simple way to dispel these suspicions for good. You have one of the biggest megaphones on the entire planet, maybe of all time. It might be time you remember how to use it. For the rest of you, enjoy your smaller megaphones, and in a world of Taylor Swifts, be a Sabrina Carpenter. Thanks for watching.
I knew you were MAGA when you walked in. You could prove me wrong, but all this shit and you're not saying anything. You betray with your mouth slammed shut. Oh, 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 MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. Oh, oh, MAGA, MAGA, MAGA.
Hey, thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I am alive. I'm almost out of my overdraft. Not quite there, but you could help me give it a push. And you can rescue me from YouTube hell by liking this video, hype it. I don't know what the fuck that means. It didn't seem to work last time, but maybe try again. Leave a comment, subscribe, tell your friends about it. And with the first thing, you can give me money on Coffee or PayPal. Links below as always. To help me when I'm randomly crying about being broken up with. About my 6-year-long relationship dying and me having to move across the country and all that stuff and all the money troubles and all the stuff that comes with it. Better yet, you can help me out even more than just tips, although I do like tips a lot, by signing up to my Patreon or YouTube memberships, where you get early videos, access to the members-only Discord, when sending a Switch friend code, and exclusive content such as long-form interviews, non-bleeped versions of my videos. When there are bleeps, there'll be non-bleeped versions posted on Patreon. And in the future, you will get streaming archives before anyone else when I start doing that. So in addition to all that good stuff, all of that stuff is available. And also name read out, end name here, name now. Ken Sorden, Andrew Steele, Georgie, Carlito Del Mozote, Anna Nicholson, Dungeon Slime, Naomi Gorman, Melody, Ben Norman, Brooklynette, Heidi Law, Transform and Function, Cara Patching, Mattia98, Zoffrey, Lilith Dawn, Spin Noir, Victor Lufgren, Gil the Gilded Dragon, A Slice of Cake, Rue, Kawaii Esquire, Charlie Hallam, Buried Elk, Ewan Bennett, Bags, Mao TM, Gina Service, You Are Made of Stupid Tomo, Melissa Jackson, Ren approves of your stuff. Thanks, Ren. Melissa, of course, Minstrel, not Melissa, Minstrel, that's a different thing. Minstrel, of course, Jeffrey on, Tom the Not Quite So Brave as Sir Lancelot, LFR, Trequoy, Ariella, Proquar, Robin Thomas, Emily Eisenberg, Kathleen 1410, Itchy, Garlic Scape, Kira B, No Sparkling Heart, Corey, Gianna J, Mightier Than the Sword, Carolyn, Imogen Q, Luciano Frias Andrade, Adam, Harry, Endog191, Cav, Quesadilla Tortilla Azul, Liron, Adam Lees, Daniel Nevels, No Not That Paul, MB, Wandering Wonder, Ash Murphy, Lex Phoenix, Enter Kurzitz, Mira D, Jade Senior, Boa Ea, James W, Thorngill, Deborah Laboon, Zilla's Athenaeum, Vince Whitaker, Amelia Lissette, Jason Haig, Frank McManus, Susan Foster, Helena Real, Sierra Whiskey, Ali Catgill, John N, Lloyd Luciente, Jason Cribbett, Shield Vaden, that wasn't good in there, Shield Vaden, Robin Podolsky, Nightlight Plushy Jesus, Casual Observer, Manta Ray, Courtney Burmack, Sleepy Slug, Philippa Tabroga, Soma Piglet, Brain Douche, Artie Wolf, Deanna McMillan, Caroline Regalado, Alexander Lilly, PJ Lisbrel, Howard Lott, Nerania, Eva Kebab, Marty Hunt, Robert McCall, oh my god, I'm tripping over so many things today, Robert McAllen, Jane Lisa Farian, Melissa Allen, Ataraxis Builds Things, Sarah Francesca Smith, thank you all for being here, thank you for coming, thank you for being a friend, and merry holidays. Christmas, Hanukkah, Eid, Kwanzaa, what else is here? Thanksgiving, I think that's already been. Other things, happy time, good time, enjoy. See you on the other one. Oh, someone shoot me. Oh. MAGA. Just tweet. Just send a tweet. Say I don't approve. It's not difficult.